Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Castaway Anime. I'm Neon Manta,
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
and today we're beginning our sweet swan song goodbye to the Owl House with its third and final season and the premiere episode thanks to them.
You know, I thought this is awkward because every time you wrote thanks to them on the podcast recording to schedule, I thought you were like, almost like it's thanks to them that we have to do it early. And it's only just today watching the episode that I realized,
That's
it's
the name of the
literally called
episode.
thanks to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was also the crew and Disney's fault for scheduling the Owl House to come back so way sooner than either of us anticipated, forcing us to cram for the Owl House podcast to catch up. Some episodes of which aren't even up yet because
Yeah.
had Wi-Fi issues.
Well, you know
So,
what? I
that's a
feel like
problem.
this may or may not be a blessing in disguise, because I'm imagining, right, we're like, we were switching back and forth between Sangatsu no Lion and the Owl House. I don't think I would have been able to control myself. I think I would have just watched them all on. I think I would have broken after like the 5th hiatus, where we'd have to watch a bunch of other podcast stuff. So, you know what? Maybe this is for the best.
And hey, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that this episode that we're recording right now, that viewer you are listening to right now, is going up today, October 16th, one day removed from the premiere, so we can. This will be the highest we've capitalized on a show's release since we started the podcast. We gotta strike. This is the hottest the iron could possibly be struck. And viewers, if you want to help us, because God knows the Owl House podcasts have been tanking the channel. Please subscribe, leave a like, head on down to the comments, let us know what you think of the Owl House and season 3.
Dear Diary, all I ever wanted was to be good at something. To be around people who also liked that something. And when I found the Demon Realm, I thought, wow, I found it. I can learn magic. I can be a witch. I won't be the dummy in the principal's office anymore. But I messed up too much and put everyone in danger. Ama says I have to learn from my mistakes. So, I know what I have to do now.
Let's hope the YouTube algorithm does not bust our kneecaps this time.
I fear that it might, only because that we had to put out both of the season 2 episodes earlier today. Well, at the time of recording, season 2A is up, season 2B is still... I'm still editing it right now. I was about to render it, but then I had to do some stuff for a full-time job that I'm starting tomorrow.
Hell yeah, congrats, man. I was
Yeah,
gonna
that-
send you a GIF like you asked for on your Twitter, but I couldn't find one.
Damn. Well, that's neither here nor there. The people are here for one thing and one thing only. That's to hear us talk about the season 3 premiere episode, thanks to them. And, gotta say, new contender for best episode in the series, question mark?
Whoa, okay. That is very, very positive. And I am very positive on
Did you
it.
hate it or something?
No, I really, really loved it. I would not say it's a contender for best episode, but it's definitely, it assuaged a lot of my worries about the finale, because if you recall, or I guess, yeah, the rest of the podcast will be up by the time this goes up. So yeah, if you viewers recall from the last episode of the podcast, there was a part of me that was like, are they going to be able to, make this finale the finale that this show deserves? And well, it will always be a little disappointing that Disney didn't give it a season 3. This first episode was like so immediately doing pretty much everything right that I was very much pleased with the episode and how it went, and I was having a really great time. And I have literally only one complaint, which I guess we'll get to eventually. And aside from that, most of my notes for this episode are either screen caps, because I couldn't stop taking them, and serotonin posting of me just screaming at the top of my lungs in all caps about how much I absolutely loved this episode, and this show on the whole.
Yeah, it once again, it felt good to be back after a relatively short hiatus. It was only, I think 4 months since the season 2 finale?
I mean, yeah, I thought it had been way longer since the season 2 finale had come out, but apparently not.
Nah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was just earlier this summer. I'm pretty sure. So
Well, I had thought that before you were saying during the podcast that some of these episodes you watched only a few months ago.
yeah, well, particularly the season 2 B episodes, because those literally just came out this year.
Yeah.
But now we gotta wait for the other 2 season 3 episodes are confirmed to come out in 2023. So we're no more new Owl House content until then. This is the last of it, and then we're waiting a few months.
I'll finally know the pain of being an Owl House fan.
Whatever Dana decides to throw us a bone and let us know when part 2 of this 3-part finale.
So
But
this
boy,
episode,
howdy, was this a fucking wild part 1.
yeah. So this episode starts off with Luz and the gang going back home, or to Luz's home, after so long spent being in the demon realm. You know, Luz finally hugs her mom for the first time in God knows how long, probably like most of a year at least.
Since the start of the show.
Yeah. And it's definitely a very touching moment, and it almost, like, we get more of it later, but I was astounded at how quickly it transitioned from that into setting up what is, I'd say, the core emotional aspect of this episode, which is Luz is feeling guilty about having basically, in her eyes, caused the apocalypse for the witches. And Hunter is feeling guilty for having helped out Bellows for so long. And also for basically just being a clone. Well, this isn't really him feeling guilty over it, but he's still
he doesn't
sort
know
of
what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how his friends would react.
He's having this sort of like existential question of like, oh, I'm just this clone of someone, and how will people feel if they know I'm a Nightwalker?
A Grimwalker.
Grimwalker. I don't know why I said Nightwalker.
I don't know either. I think you must have been confusing for another fantasy series.
Probably.
Speaking of the emotional core of the episode being Luz and Hunter, it was the sweetest goddamn thing to see their relationship blossom the most in this episode throughout, as opposed to the entire series, because they've always had this sibling dynamic ever since I forget the name of the episode, but the one where Hunter's mask comes off and Luz finds out that he's just a kid, and they have this bond. They forge a bit of a bond through being powerless witches and not knowing, what their future holds. Luz being a powerless witch who wants to become one, but Hunter being a powerless witch and having no choice but to just be the Golden Guard because he didn't really get to choose what he wanted to do for his life. And seeing Luz just comfort Hunter, and Hunter also was at Luz's shoulder sometimes, but there's one scene in particular that we'll get to that it was strong between the two.
I always liked Hunter. I mean, from the beginning in season 2, he had a very memorable personality, and as the season went on, he got more depth. We learned more about him, and we got to see the more emo side of him, all the angst, and you get to really connect with him. And this episode, I think, solidified him as like a legit, like, from just a really, really good character to just absolute great top tier. Just adore him. And also,
yeah, Hunter is without a question one of the best characters in the show. And also, we know for a fact that Dana fucking hates him, because why else would she put him through this emotional ringer?
We will get to that. And you were mentioning in the last podcast about people shipping Hunter and Willow. And at first I was confused. I see it now. So I had said that, oh, wait, they were a ship? Hold on. Wait, huh? And I just didn't remember anything. This episode had quite a few moments that I noticed.
Very
I've
open
screenshotted
flirting,
some of them.
very blushy Hunter around Willow.
My first note, or really it's more of a screenshot, is just me screenshotting the image of Hunter blushing while Willow cuts his hair.
It's a very good shot, and also like the first of many oh god, Hunter, this boy needs a hug moments where he sees the reflection of Caleb and Bellos in the mirror, looking more like him, and he gets like actually so traumatized and upset by this that he's like starts furiously cutting his own hair just so he doesn't have to look like them anymore.
Yeah. Like
Ooh, and,
like we're saying, he goes
and that's
through
only the
some stuff.
least worst thing that happens to him.
Yeah. More surprising to me than Hunter being just amazing in this episode is Willow, because it's not that I disliked Willow before, quite the opposite. I really liked her. But this episode had so many pure serotonin moments for Willow, where she just, this episode is just like, I'm not even sure how to describe it, but like something about it made Willow instantly like 10 times more likable to me. Even though it's not really a Willow focused episode.
I was gonna say, like, it is cute that she's taken up this hobby of photography and scrapbooking in the human realm, and is chronicling all of their memories and adventures and just them hanging out in the human realm. I wouldn't say like she's gotten any good character moments. I think it's just her just being, just typical Willow. It doesn't have like too many moments where like her character arc is being pushed forward like it was in season 2. Same thing with Gus, pretty much. Like he still is having his brotherly bond with Hunter, but this is definitely not a Willow and Gus centric episode, and I'm hoping that in the next 2 episodes they're able to have more of a spotlight put on them. I feel like this is like the Hunter episode and his arc is almost concluded, but like now that most of it's done, and this is a Luz, Hunter, and sort of a Camila episode. Like, not even though Amity is also, in there and moving the plot forward and by being a proactive element in the narrative, this isn't really like an Amity focused episode. Like, she doesn't really have an arc in this one. This is all about Luz, Hunter, and Camila.
Yeah. And that's why it is a little perplexing to me why this episode in particular made me love Willow so much, because like it doesn't put her through an entire arc or anything, but I think it's just that the typical Willow moments in here were so good. Like one of my favorite things in general is when Willow puts in the vampire teeth and she's like, "Wahaha." It's just like, my heart melts. So
she's a
good.
naturally goofy, fun girl. She's like, her and Gus. Well, I guess you could say this about most of the characters in the Owl House, but they remind me of the side characters from Gravity Falls. How they're all have their own quirks and are all like get every character in Gravity Lines. I feel like has at least one really funny line, and then characters like Willow and Gus are just like characters from Gravity Falls, those side characters, but made into prominent side characters who get their own episodes and like developed arcs.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Another
like
screen cap
as fun as characters as like Candy and Grenda from Gravity Falls were, they did not have like any meaningful arcs whatsoever. They were just like, they were good. They served their purpose well. They were fun side characters.
Another screenshot I have of Willow here is her with like this demonic pitchfork, but also with the little flower clip in her hair. And it's just the dissonance between those two things for some reason was really
and she, like,
endearing
playfully
to me.
just pokes some passing guy in the butt with it.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, and also Willow with
she's
twin
a little
braids.
bean. Oh
Yes.
yeah, well yeah, Willow's current design is infinitely better than her original design. Oh yeah,
I mean,
speaking of
anytime a character has twin braids, it's an improvement.
Speaking of new designs, the time skip, baby.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how far forward the show jumps in time. It's like a couple months. Do you know exactly how long it was? Because I just have written it's like a few months.
They just say they've been in the human realm for a few months, and you see the weird thing is that the timeline of the show is kind of weird because we see in the reaching out episode where Luz confesses to Amity that her dad died, and the whole thing with their anniversary and whatnot. We see at the very end of that episode where we see the cut back to the human realm with Camila and V, where Camila puts the flower up on the window. We can see a calendar on the side that says it's currently August, but if it's Halloween where we currently are in the episode, then that means it's in October. So could only, they say they've been there for months, but so what? 2 months have passed. I feel like that might just be like, I feel like either it's like a relatively short 2 months, or what I think is more likely the case, it was a bit of it's not a damning plot hole, but it's just something they probably let slip through the cracks, and they probably meant for Luz to come back earlier, but just forgot.
Nah, actually, the show is ruined. We both give it a 0 out of 10
It's 0
now.
out of 10. Yeah,
Minor inconsistency.
Ghost and Molly
Destroyed.
McGee better. No, it's fine. I'd imagine like probably 3 months have passed. That
Yeah,
seems
that's
like an
what
appropriate
I
amount of time.
All right. And by the way, Luz has a beanie now. Big improvement.
Oh yeah, I adore Luz's new design. I don't think I've ever shown you the beta designs for the Owl House. If I showed you Beta Willow, you'd be like, wow, we were fucking robbed. Because, like, Beta Willow not only looks like the best Willow that we've ever seen, unofficially granted, but it also looks like Beta Willow had an entirely different personality. Like, whereas the Willow we know is, like, playful, cutesy. The Beta Willow is, like, mysterious, cool.
I see the... Okay, well, that's a DeviantArt one. It's mostly fan art of it.
I'll find you the official drawing that Dana Terrace did. It's one of Beta Willow, Beta Amity, and Beta Luz together. Here, well, I'll find the image for you. Go ahead and do a quick ranking of the 6 new designs.
Oh god, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, fuck you, do it right now.
Okay. I actually have positive notes about pretty much all the designs. Although I guess this is I guess not that big of a spoiler, but like Hunter at the end of the episode gets a bunch of new scars, and I always like it whenever a character gets a scar.
Same.
And Luz has a scar in her eyebrow now. And
it's
as well
permanent.
as
She got it from the
Yeah.
fight with Bellows at the end of the season 2 finale. Now it's just a part of her face.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And as well,
Found
okay,
it, by
so
the
this
way.
is the...
Yeah, this
Oh,
is drawn
that
by
is-
Dana herself.
Those are very different vibes for the designs.
Yeah, like this
Alright.
is. Yeah, these are the beta designs, and like I guess the characters are meant to be older. Luz is apparently meant to be a lot more of a rebel. Amity's got like this lion mane hair.
Yeah,
they're good. The fandom really like attached themselves to these designs, and like Beta Willow especially, because I can't help but wonder like how radically different a character Beta Willow would have been compared to the Willow we have now.
I mean, I imagine it'd have to be an entirely different personality, or else the design would feel unfitting.
Yeah, because like she's got like a trench coat on. She's got like
Yeah.
unkempt eyebrows and shaggy hair. She has like this look of like she's making this like wink smile face that I can't ever imagine current Willow doing.
I definitely like the designs, although I am kind of glad that we got the Willow we did get, because she's fun. She's a lot of fun. I'd say Willow has definitely come into her own as a character over the last season and episode of season 3.
Yeah, Willow's new design is great. Amity went through Amity and Hunter pretty much both went through growth spurts.
Yeah, Amity. I did have trouble at times quantifying what the change was, but like I noticed it in each character. Like something is different here. Something is amiss.
I feel like
something
Gus went
afoot.
through the least change. He all that changed for him. He just got human clothing.
Yeah, that is pretty much it.
But like, I like how Amity's hair went from like purple to a faded pink because she's just hasn't dyed it, and her brown roots are growing back, and her hair is slightly longer now, which is sick.
Yeah. I'd say, like, I always love it in shows when the character designs change over time, and this is just that, but for literally every single character, which is great. I absolutely love it.
It's almost like the characters are growing alongside the viewers.
Yep, that is precisely what is happening, and I am here for it.
Also, V's new design is cute.
Oh yeah, how did it take this long for us to mention that in terms of designs? I love V's human design.
I'm not entirely sure how her hair works. I feel like it's the most anime hair of the entire show.
I just wrote it off as she can transform, so lol doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know that's the answer, but I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder if she's ever like out on the street and is asked by the humans, being like, "Damn, how'd you get your hair to look like that?" And she's like, "Oh, product."
She could probably be a really good shill for a hair product.
Camila's new design looks great. I like the one gray streak she gets in her hair.
Yeah, all of the redesigns are great.
Yeah, like Hunter's new short hair. And Hunter will even get a new design change, not just at the end of the episode, but like in the third act of it, but we'll get to that.
So I guess we've gone on long enough without talking or without getting in depth on the plot of the episode. So how do you want to cover that?
Well, we really got no choice but to go in chronological order for this one. Also,
Yeah.
like spoilers, by the way, but I'm pretty sure that was self-evident.
Wow, you watched a podcast on a single episode of a TV show expecting there to be no spoilers. I don't think that person exists, Neon.
Well, you better to cover our bases than to have someone be
Fair
like, "Oh,
enough.
what the fuck, you didn't say spoilers? I'm burning your house down." Which ultimately is fair. If someone spoiled me on thanks to them, I would also burn their house down. It would only be fair.
I mean, yeah, it is the fair response. So yeah, to the one of you who somehow didn't get the memo, there we go.
So now that the gang is back in the human realm and the Luz and Hunter have this mutual agreement to tell the gang their secrets when they're ready, they're trying to adjust to their new lives. We get this really cute montage of them trying to like make attempts to build a new portal door and all their different human antics. Luz coming out to her mom as bisexual is so fucking adorable.
Yeah, I noticed that after that scene, for the remainder of the episode, Luz puts a bisexual pin in her beanie, and then Luz's mom, Camila,
Is wearing
this,
a
like,
pride pin.
rainbow heart, rainbow heart pin.
She's a supportive mom.
Luz's mom is not homophobic. I repeat, she is
Confirmed.
not homophobic.
Dude, like, the rat was seething, right?
The rat was seething, molding, coping, every single internet ad hominem you could put onto the rat. It was doing that. It was frothing at the mouth.
I am so curious how they're gonna censor all of this overseas. Like, are they gonna pull like a 4Kids and just like color in the
No,
pin on the hat and the heart?
You know what they're gonna do? Alright, they're gonna color in the heart purple and say, "Holy shit, while everyone was back at the demon realm, Camila joined the military and got a purple heart."
She fought in war. Um, yeah, it was just a really cute scene, and I guess it. I can imagine that Dana just like is fighting the entirety of like a Disney corporate, like in a bloody fist fight to the death, and like ultimately like up among a stack of like broken bodies, just standing on top of them, be like, there will be as much the queer LGBT representation in this episode as possible.
We must have the Yuri Disney.
And it ain't even just the Yuri. We got the bisexual for Luz. There was a lesbian sticker in the scrapbook next to Amity's picture. We got Camila's pride pin. There, if you look, there's even some cute moments like in Camila's bedroom where she has all of these different books on, you know, like raising a queer kid or like understanding queer children. And it's like, she's so supportive. It's so cute.
You know, I didn't actually notice all the books, but yeah, that's a nice touch.
V meets her old friend from when she was disguising herself as Luz. And what was her? I think her name was Masha.
That sounds right.
It's the one that's voiced by the voice of Azula from Avatar.
I mean, I haven't seen Avatar, so I wouldn't know, but
I would have thought surely you heard the Azula voice before.
I probably have, but just don't recognize it.
She has on her the name plaque on her desk because she has Jacob's old job now from the dude from the Yesterday's Lie. She has the they them on her plaque, and I didn't notice this at first, but then it was pointed out to me online that her fingernails are painted in the non-binary flag colors, or their fingernails. My mistake.
Okay, so there was actually a lot more of that than I thought in this episode.
Yeah, and V got that non-binary sapphic crush.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of cute how the one person you said Masha, I'm just gonna call her them that how they thought that V seemed familiar without actually, even though V has a different design now, and how they just instantly sort of get along on that level. It was really neat.
Yeah, that got me thinking though. If the whole time when V was pretending to be Luz and made Masha a friend, and also those two other guys from the Yesterday's Lie episode, I think we see one of them in like the credit sequence and like with one of the stills. I don't think we ever see the other one. I'm wondering, like, do they ever try to reach out to Luz? Because now that the real Luz is back, do they like try to be her friend and be like, hey, don't you remember we were like friends the whole summer at summer camp?
I imagine that's something that would have been at least brought up had they had more time. And I was thinking the same thing, although it's not like a problem or anything like that. And I know you aren't saying.
Oh no, it's not a problem at all. I'm just curious.
Yeah. It definitely is. Like watching the montage, it's a great scene. I absolutely love it, but there is also that sort of wistfulness and like missing the slice of life adventures that could have been had there been more episodes. It's like, this is so great.
Yeah, I love in the montage how there's a scene of Luz showing Amity the rain and how it's safe and not boiling like it is on the Boiling Isles, and then they had this little dance together. Oh, peak Erie content. Thank you, Dana. My skin is clear, my crops are watered.
Yeah, there are some Amity, Luz, Yuri moments. A bunch of them throughout the episode, and one really solid one at the end. And it's just serotonin. It
Dude,
feels good to my bagel brain.
They're dancing forehead to forehead, and Amity can tell that Luz is like upset, still have like the bad thoughts on her mind, and so she makes the light spell that Luz usually makes with her glyphs, but now that she can't anymore, and they raise it up to the sky like how Luz usually does at the end of the Owl House theme songs. Very good.
Mucho good. So the main sort of narrative of this episode is Luz and Hunter both feeling guilty, and we both get the respective moments of like them finding their guilt, and like for Hunter it's through the comic book where it's about this clone from the enemy planet, and he
Yeah,
sees
Gus just
himself in
gets
that.
Hunter into Star Trek.
Pretty much. And I also love the scene where Camila is like, "Where did you find that?" And like super
Camila
embarrassed
was a
about
nerd
owning
the
all
whole
of these.
time.
Yeah, this is Camilo coming out of the closet not as any sexuality, but as a nerd, as a fucking geek.
We'll get to that too, because that's one of the three big emotional pillars of the episode, along with losing Hunter. But we'll just going back to the narrative right now. The gang been trying to find a way home to no avail. All their attempts at making a portal door have been unsuccessful because they don't have any Titan's blood. And while they're like trying to figure out a plan, they're just all hiding out in the shed. I love the little slice of life moments that of them adjusting to the human realm, and I'm sure you did too, knowing your tastes. I'm sure you appreciated V teaching the entire squad Spanish.
That was honestly every single scene in the show or in this episode could be me just ranting about how good it is. Like that's super cute. I love how Camila's there, hearing them do it and like watching them try their best to learn Spanish, and how V's just super fluent in it.
Because you know that Camila just probably taught her most of it.
Yeah, I imagine it happened very naturally, and maybe a bit of like actual dedicated tutoring too. And it's just like everything's so
she's
good.
her daughter.
Yeah, she's basically. I love the scene where Camila's like, I never expected to have 6 kids.
It's so sweet how she is so quick to take all of them under her roof and consider all of them her children now.
And we're in this situation, and Luz is basically dealing with the guilt she felt before. And there's this one scene that's really entertaining and also sort of, at the same time, heartbreaking.
Sad.
Yeah.
Is it the one in school where she's like giving her analysis on the book that they're reading, and she's going in on that good self-hatred, the good self-loathing?
Yeah, it's like, on the one hand, it's funny because it's like an embarrassing social situation, but on the other hand, it's like, well, she means all this but towards herself, like literally calling the person in the story completely not a hero and just a pawn for someone else's scheme.
And everyone was better off not knowing them, and they should have never existed.
Oh, that one is.
I can't help but wonder. I've posed this many a time to myself and also several times throughout the podcast, but I can't help but think about the version of the Owl House that Dana wanted to tell, where she didn't have to be confined by the restrictions of making a child-friendly cartoon. Like, imagine if the Owl House was on like Adult Swim,
that would be
Netflix.
Even more depressing, probably.
Like, no, I would not be surprised if Luz was like actually suicidal by this point.
God damn.
It'd be fucked up, but it would make for some good television.
It would definitely be a very different show in that instance. But yeah, I think that could honestly be a pretty interesting show.
Duolingo is canon in the Owl House, finally bringing the legendary Hootie X duo pairing full circle.
Oh yeah, I definitely loved that, where it's like the bird and the app. I'm trying to remember the exact line. Do you remember
it was something like, remember, it's time, like, do your lessons or I'll appear in your nightmares. Because it's all based on the like the threatening memes of the Duolingo app, where it's like, oh, it seems that you skipped a lesson, and then you get a warning of like, state of emergency, nuclear missile like located in your city. Yeah, I told you about the Duolingo app officially like recognizing Hootie and as like a pairing with the Duolingo mascot, right?
No.
Oh, yeah,
This
that's
is
the thing.
new to
Like,
me.
you might have seen it on my Twitter. I retweeted it. It's like a fan art of Hootie and Duo the owl watching the new episode together.
Well, they do have a couple things in common. They're both owls. They both probably, I imagine, like talking a lot. They're
they're both
both
chaotic evil.
sociopaths. Yeah.
They're made for each other.
Yeah, they're both literally Joker.
I with the Duolingo app, and it's like, oh, you good job, V. You're the top student. I like Amity's little. I was the top student once.
God, every single line from this episode could be quoted and ranted about. Like, I legitimately think we could talk about this episode for just as long as some of the other podcasts. We could. We won't necessarily
I'm not
do
gonna
it,
lie.
but-
I took like 800 words worth of notes. I have damn
Let's
near like
see.
I have 5 pages worth of notes on this one 45-minute episode.
I have 239 words worth of notes. However, I also have a lot of screenshots, and if you consider that a picture is worth, I don't know what the saying is, but something like 1,000 words.
A
then-
picture's worth 1,000 words.
So, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 words worth, plus the other 200. So there you go. I've got you beat in notes, Neon.
Well, I guess if we convert the currency of picture to words.
So
Let's see. Yeah. So while the gang is like doing their Spanish homework and trying to figure out a way back home, Flapjack's been picking away at the floorboards of the shed and is able to find a scroll in the underneath the floorboards related to the portal door. And so the gang decide we gotta that maybe this could lead to something, but let's not tell Luz about it just yet because she's been real down in the dumps, hard on herself. And if it's like a dead end, she'll probably just actually throw the rope up into the ceiling. So let's figure it out for ourselves first, and if it works, maybe we'll surprise her.
Yeah, so this is, I think, literally the one, I wouldn't even say bad, but like slightly iffy part of the episode, which is that it is a little convenient that there's this map to the Titan's blood just under the floorboard of their house, and that Flapjack just happens to find it by picking at the floorboard.
I think that's going to be explained, because I feel like that shed has some significance.
If it does get explained, I could, by the end of this podcast, be like, oh, my old self was an idiot for ever thinking this was just a contrivance, but it does feel a little convenient to me at this stage of the story.
Well, we do know that Flapjack, the Palisman, has connections with the witch that lured Philip and, well, mainly Caleb, the witch that came to Caleb and Philip, and then the one that bewitched Caleb and spirited him away to the demon realm. We know that they're connected. That witch's name was Evelyn, and I'm not what's the word, etymologist, but I can't help but think that Evelyn sounds a lot like Edalyn.
Edalyn, yeah.
Well, like, literally no way are they the same character, same person, but I can't help but wonder if maybe it runs in the Clawthorn family. Maybe I wonder if the Clawthorn ancestor, perhaps, and the Clawthorns and the Woodabanes are more tied together than we initially thought.
It is it does get the noggin jogging quite a bit, and I definitely think there will be there pretty much has to be a connection there.
Yeah, because of course the scroll with the to the Titan's blood would be in Gravesfield, where Evelyn came to the city where Evelyn came to Caleb and Philip. So
yeah, I guess that does
would
make
not call
sense as to like why some of those things are there, as well as them Philip and Caleb being, I presume, fairly local, if not living in the town.
Oh yeah. Well, in the story that Masha tells the gang of the story of the Wittebane brothers, they said that they were orphans who ended up in Gravesfield, and Gravesfield was like a community of witch hunters, so they got in on the witch hunting. But then we see that the witch Evelyn, according to legend, the witch Evelyn spirited the older brother Caleb away, and Philip chased after, trying to free his brother from the grasp of this wench. But
yeah,
and as we can remember from the flashbacks and the pictures on the walls in Hollow Mind, we can infer how that story goes. But I'm sure that we'll get like a clear picture painted in the, if not the, probably, yeah, I would have bet the next episode of Owl House, because I feel like the third and final episode has to be like all climax and falling action, whereas the very next one's gotta be like set up, like this is where we finish all the setup and we tie up all the loose ends, like any big unsolved mystery, like the connection between the Clawthorns and the Wittabanes will be finally explained there.
Yeah, I imagine that's how it'll pretty much have to go, considering how much screen time there is left. And I guess taking that into account, it does sort of clear up a little bit of the convenience. It's still a little iffy, but I mean, depending on how they explain it, I think you've won me over a little bit. I think it is actually possible to explain it in a way that makes sense. So, you know what? Point mostly redacted.
So, I guess this is as good a time as any to talk about Camila, because this is when we get one of the first like big impactful scenes in the episode where Camila has this nightmare about Luz getting mistreated for all her like weirdness and eccentricities, and even to the point where like the principal of her school is labeling it as grief as a result of acting out over the death of her father, Manny.
That scene is like a 27 out of 10 or something like that. It's so viscerally emotional and interesting, and it really sheds a lot of Camila's actions into a I'd say at least more understandable light, where she was told by the principal of the school, like, yo, take her to this basically inside the box summer camp, I think that's what it's called, where
Yeah, it's like one of those correctional ones.
yeah. And it's, maybe after going to that camp, she'll be able to fit in and be normal and be able to socialize. And Camila is like, yeah, she doesn't have any friends, so she takes her to the summer camp in order to basically give her a way to interact with people and to stop being so lonely, and so that she doesn't have to, see her daughter who doesn't make any friends and who is still grieving over the death of her father.
And we find out through that nightmare scene that it was never originally her idea to send her to that camp. It was the principals that was trying to convince Camila that, hey, this is for Luz's sake, right? Because you said you were bullied in high school, right, Camila? You don't want her to struggle like you did. And so we see it was like a way she's trying to get Luz to grow up to live a better life than she did, so she didn't have to go through the same hardships that she did when she was younger. And it's not doing it as a way to quell her weirdness, and because she never hated it, she just wanted to let her live a struggle-free life.
I fucking love the flashback Camila has of Luz literally finding a dead snake's skin and then showing it to people like, look, this is so cool. That means the snake got bigger and is out here looking around. And all the children run away. And the sad part of the scene is that the other parents are like, holy shit, this girl is unhygienic. Like, who raised that child? Wolves? Camila's like, yo, wolves are neat. Wolves are cool.
Hunter thinks so too. He's a wolf kid now. He sews like the wolf patterns onto that shirt.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like,
now I remember.
he's like, there are these mystical beasts in the human world called wolves, and I love them. And I'm like, oh no, he's a wolf kid. It's too late for him. We gotta put him down now. It's too late.
All right, so well, of course you recall, but if you recall, viewers, the Owlcast was originally intended as this sort of like basically favorite show swap, where Neon would show me the Owl House and I would show him Sangatsu no Lion. And I am here to bring that theme full circle, because when I saw in Camila's nightmare sequence that the room with her and the principal in it started filling up with water, and she started
I
drowning,
thought about that too.
my first thought was, oh my god, is that a motherfucking March Comes In Like a Lion reference?
I don't think it was that specific.
It
I think it's
wasn't,
just
no.
like a.
It's not a reference.
general
It's just that every
visual
time I see,
shorthand.
yeah, it is a general visual shorthand, and it's definitely not an intentional reference. But every time I see any water metaphor in a show now, I'm immediately like, Sangatsu no Lion did that every other episode.
And while we're still talking about Camila, I know this is jumping forward a bit, but one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the episode. Then there are several heartbreaking scenes, by the way, but like this one's up there. Camila stumbles upon all the video diaries Luz has made on her laptop throughout the years, and we see Luz as a kid, like basically going from, you know, like the cheery kid she once was to very sad, depressed girl because her dad just fucking died. And then she is able to rekindle that spark in her life again when she is able to read The Good Witch Azura book that we find out that was gifted to her by her dad.
And
that's why
so much more meaning
it brings
to it.
Yeah, it brings the whole thing like full circle and adds all these new layers. So now that you go back and rewatch the show, you'll be like, oh, you'll have the knowledge of, oh my god, she loved it not just because she just like happened to be a fan of like magic and fantasy. It's because her dad fostered it, and that's like probably the last thing that he left her, and that's why she has this emotional attachment to it, not just because she likes fantasy, but because it reminds her of her dad.
The Owl House basically in this scene is basically saying that like, hey, fiction can be used as like a comforting, like a way to comfort yourself, and basically saying that it can be used as like emotional support. Very based, very based.
Yeah, I very much like the stance that the Owl House takes, and how they do call out Luz's behavior like right at the very beginning of the series, where she's well, it is ultimately fine. There's nothing wrong with having these, you know, eccentricities and liking stuff that might not be considered normal by others. They do say that like it can't, you gotta be able to rein it into an extent and not just like cause chaos and destruction for others, like how she makes that taxidermy like griffin thing with the spiders that just infest the entire classroom and causes all the students to freak out. You know, like that would be that is not good and normal societal human behavior. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with just, you know, being a fan of it. And as long as you're doing it responsibly, you're not like being disruptive and destructive with it. And how it can be a force for good, like how it's allowing Luz to cope with the passing of her father.
You reminded me of this other scene that's just hilarious and that I absolutely love, where Luz is like, look, I can sit still enough that animals come onto me. And then she like spins in her chair until it comes to a standstill, and then a spider drops down from the ceiling and she's just okay with it.
And then, like, oh, dude, when like the one clip in that video diary came up where she was like, today's been the worst week ever. And like she's because like, you know, that like she's got the news that either her dad has just died or he is about to die. Like it's terminal. Whatever he has, there's no saving him. And like you can see when Camille like puts a hand on the screen to try to like caress her head.
Everything about this episode is just made to tug at the heartstrings. So good.
And then the last video diary that we see, that Camila finds out that Luz plans to tell her friends that she's made her choice and that she's gonna stay in the human realm permanently. So when everyone else goes home, she can't follow, and then they'll have to say goodbye.
Yeah, that is. I think that was a really well executed sort of like. I like when you first hear it in the video diary, I at least was like super duper shocked. I was like, oh no. And it does build up towards it where it's like, before that scene, Luz is like, she's about to go to the Halloween thing where they're all in costumes. And Luz is like, all right, I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna tell them this thing I have to say. I'm gonna find the right moment or whatever. And it's like, oh, what could that be? And then you hear it from the video diary and it's like, oh shit, oh fuck, no, go back, no, don't do that.
It's just real sad, but not quite as sad as the actually saddest moment in the entire episode. So Hunter, like I mentioned earlier that Dana was like, we're gonna put this kid through the emotional ringer this episode, and boy howdy, are the red flags ever prevalent.
You thought he was angsty before, wait till you see this. So throughout the episode, Hunter, at first it starts off with brief cuts of like, first there's the Belos blob just hopping around, and then it's like, oh, and that tells the viewer that Belos, he still be out there, he still be alive and kicking, he's invaded the human realm. And then, as it goes on, that blob gets a little bigger, capable of doing more. You see Belos in the woods, and then eventually Hunter sees Belos.
How he's been feasting on like woodland creatures to regain his mass. And you see like their remains scattered all throughout.
He has slowly been biding his time to eventually do a thing that we will get to. And so eventually Hunter sees Belos and he's like, oh, that bad. So and I love the way he breaks the news to Luz. Like he immediately, he rushes past Camila. Camila's like, yo, hello. And Hunter's like, yo, hello. And then he goes to Luz and he's just like, no, I think Luz at first tells him like, oh, what's wrong? And he's just like, Belos. And she instantly knows. All that's required is his name.
Even before that, I love they set up all the red flags of how like Hunter, like his human disguise was trying to be like the guy from Star Trek, and like Willow's flirting with him, and while he stays behind to get a different outfit because he can't go out in public with that, he looks in the mirror and says to Flapjack, even if I don't know who I'm supposed to be, I like who I am right now. And it gives like one of the most earnest smiles in the entire series he's given so far. And I'm like, immediately moment I saw that, I was like, oh no. Something really bad's gonna happen to this kid. Dana's gonna fucking kill this
call
kid.
That a flag.
So while the squad heads out into Gravesteel to find answers for the scroll, and they notice stuff like the town statue that looks familiar, Amity trying to open cabinets, getting spooked, blushes and face plants while trying to run away. Very cute stuff. Back at the house, Luz and Hunter are going on a Belos hunt because he thinks he sees him in the shed, and they're gonna try to find him and put him down once and for all.
I absolutely love that scene where it's just like this big giant tension build. Big and giant mean the same thing. I don't know why I said that. This tension build of them just slowly going through the shed. They find like this hidden door, and then they go through that and walk down the stairs. It's all horror stuff. And like, yeah, it's a trope. I get that other shows do this exact same thing all the time, but when it's
a good
Belos, it hits different.
It's well, yeah, because you know that he could be hiding around any corner. There's a wardrobe shaking in the basement, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's in there! Get ready, we're gonna open the door." And
It's
then,
like-
but then it's just a possum.
Yeah, I love the ending to that too, but it's like in most shows, it's you know the stakes aren't this high for that kind of scene, but for this show, it's like we instantly know the stakes, we instantly know just how dangerous what they're dealing with is, and so it's like the tension is palpable. It's so much more horrifying than I think pretty much any other version of that scene I've seen.
It's very good,
Yeah.
but not quite as good as what follows with Luz and Hunter like are relieved, being like, okay, Belos isn't here. I get Hunter's like, well, I guess it must have been in my imagination, and Luz is like, well, you know, I can't blame you for being paranoid, dude. You know, we've been through a lot, and Belos is a scary guy, and we gotta protect everyone, and that includes you, dude, cause you're family. And like gives him like a playful like punch on the arm and leans on him, being like, you're family now, bud. And like the sibling dynamic is stronger than ever. And upon hearing that like he's family, that Luz and everyone else considers him to be family, Hunter's like, oh, cool, and like trying to keep it together, and like turns away, but you can see even with the mask he has on, he starts crying. You see the tears coming down his eyes, and he just starts breaking down because it's the first time he's ever like actually felt like a family or part of a family. And like, holy shit, Luz gives him a hug. I deadass almost started crying.
It's stuff like that that makes this like such a good episode for Hunter, and made me suddenly elevated him to not just a really good character, but absolutely fantastic and amazing. It's like he goes through so much, and even just these 40 I think 46 minutes total, it's like kind of insane how much they put him through in such a short span of time.
It's such a genuine bond that Luz and Hunter share, and it's interesting because they know each other the least out of, at least Luz knows Hunter the least out of the entire Hexside gang. But like even then, she like, it almost feels like outside of Amity, who's just straight up her girlfriend, she has like the next closest connection she has with all her friends is Hunter, and treats him like a brother. It's so sweet. It's so good.
I mean, yeah, they connect on like this level of both feeling sort of useless in a sense.
They're trauma
And-
bonded.
Yeah,
They're guilt bonded.
literally, and as well as their guilt. And I forgot what I was gonna say, but I was gonna say something. I'll probably remember it at some point.
And as they're walking away, being like, okay, I guess Belos really is gone. Except, Hunter has Belos' silhouette for some reason.
Oh no, what could that mean?
And I was like, dude, after Hunter started crying, like, I was too in the moment to be like, and like, because I was trying to fight back my own tears of how fucking sad that shit was. Like, that is the saddest moment in the entire episode, by the way. But, even then, as soon as the Belos silhouette was made shown, I was like, don't kill Hunter. Don't do it to him now, Dana. Come on. He's been through enough, god damn it.
Oh, the worst is yet to come. So, after that scene, I think it cuts to like a few more scenes of just the gang living in Luz's house. We get to see them hanging out. I think this is around the point where we get another Hunter and Gus bro moment. I think that's around the point where like Hunter is sewing a shirt for the first time, or maybe that's early in the
Well,
episode.
yeah, that's early in the episode, and I
Okay.
like how even that moment comes into play, where it's like as Hunter's trying to use the sewing machine, and how he accidentally stabs himself and goes as the needle goes clean through his finger. Bleh. We find out that is the wound that Bellows enters himself in, which allows him to do something later.
A certain thing we'll get to, but anyway.
A thing that's become very recurrent in Disney cartoons for whatever reason.
Oh, I didn't know it was a recurring thing. Okay. That'll be interesting to hear about when we get to the scene.
Yeah, so just before all the Lose Hunter Bellows stuff, the Hexside gang's going out into town. They're trying to find answers. They're not getting much. There's this one moment where V is like, "Wow, you must have been friends for like the longest time because you're so like close with each other." And it's like, well, actually, we didn't always get along at first, but like the whole thing with the human realm has brought us even closer together. And this is the point of the episode where like Willow pulls out the scrapbook, and I just have to pause the episode and just go frame by frame to see all of the different pictures that Willow has taken throughout their time. I love. I think my favorite one. There's two highlights. There's one where Luz and Amity are drinking from the same milkshake, very cliche like, and then as Amity finds out that she's getting her picture taken, she turns all beet red and accidentally blows into the milkshake and gets some of it on Luz's face.
I saw the first milkshake one. I actually didn't notice the second milkshake one. Probably because
It was directly below it.
I didn't do a frame by frame analysis like you did, so either I blinked and missed it, or I'm just dumb.
The other good one was I could have sworn because I saw brown, blonde, and black hair, I immediately thought, holy shit, are they like watching Amphibia or something on TV? But then I looked closer at the silhouettes of the characters on the screen's designs, and I realized, oh my god, they're watching Hocus Pocus.
I don't actually know what that is.
It's a Disney movie about witches.
Oh.
And you can everyone who's not Luz is like really unamused because I can imagine they're essentially watching blackface, like their witch equivalent.
I mean, I guess that's one way to put it.
Because like the witches in Hocus Pocus are like very old-timey 1600s, like wicked cackle, toil and trouble, stir the cauldron type witches, like very stereotypical. And like the gang's watching it, and like Willow especially, because she's in the forefront of that picture, has that face like, bro, what the fuck?
This is absolutely nothing like us.
Yeah, so while they're out like on their adventures, they find out that the scroll is contains some kind of code that leads to a map of Gravesfield with the location of Titan's blood that they can use to build a portal door. And they're so excited that they said, all right, we're gonna surprise Luz with this good news at this Halloween hayride event that Luz is going to be at.
Which brings us pretty neatly into the sort of like final act of the episode, where they're at the Halloween thing, and Luz has come in with the plan to tell them all about how I'm gonna stay behind in the human realm because I caused this and I'm feeling guilty, and also I gotta stay with my mom. And they want to surprise her with this new revelation of we have Titan's blood.
So the gang's all at the Halloween hayride. We see the whole flashback. Well, not flashback. The exposition, I suppose, is correct, of Masha telling the gang about the story of the Wittebane brothers and how the whole thing with Evelyn the witch and how they got spirited away. And I can't help but notice that the cardboard bird that they use for the presentation looks suspiciously like Flapjack.
Yeah, I did notice that.
I wonder. I
So
wonder if they're more connected than we know.
I guess we'll find out in the next episode. And I did like that scene a lot because it's sort of it's sort of a what the hell moment for all of the characters where it's like at first it's almost portrayed as like the setup to just a normal slice of life comedy scene almost where she's like, oh, I'm gonna try and scare you on this ride, and Gus is think she says like, oh, I'm gonna tell you a story where or whatever, and Gus is like, boo, and I forget what he says after that, just like,
It was something like Masha's gonna like, I'm gonna tell you a story of knowledge, and Gus is like, boo,
oh
I'd rather be
yeah.
scared, or something like that.
And then
Hunter
I'm like,
sees Bello. Yeah, this is the part where Hunter sees Bellos again and tells Luz about Amity's surprise with the Titan's blood, and so Luz
yeah.
decides, all right, if Bellos really is out there, then just in case, we'll go after the Titan's blood first to make sure that it's there, and to make, and just on the off chance that Bellos is back, and make sure that he can't get his hands on it. And we see Hunter is getting slowly more angry, more aggro, and slowly getting goopier.
Yeah, he like flips out on Flapjack, and Luz is like, "Yo, what's happening? Why did you do that? What's wrong, man? Come on, unnecessary." And Hunter's like, I don't know what came over me." And so after that, they run into the forest, looking for the Titan's blood. Meanwhile, Amity and Gus and the rest of the gang are like, "Yo, where's Luz? Where's Hunter?" And I think it's V that has it, where it's like,
Yeah, she's using the
this
Find My Phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I quoted the text on it. It's find the phone, privacy schmivacy.
Yeah, it's a very, very Alex Hirsch joke. I would not be surprised if he was the one who wrote that.
Yeah, it is that got a laugh out of me. So eventually they chase down Luz and Hunter, who have gone into the forest to find the Titan's blood. And this is when Hunter, he becomes Bellos.
Yeah, Bellos has infiltrated his body through that open wound from the wound that he gave himself from sewing, and he's taking over his body from the inside. And by the way, Bellos possessed Hunter, really fucking cool design.
Yes, it's very very. Yeah, I like it.
It's like the perfect mashup of Hunter and Bellows. Well, also like it has a good silhouette. The voice that they put on of it being like mostly Bellows' voice, but with like the slight bit of Hunter's in the background mashed on top of each other, but one's louder than the other to show who's in control.
Yeah, I really dig the almost like slight echo of the voice. Really cool stuff. And this is around the point where the gang comes in.
And then Bellows gets back on his god tier villain shit and makes sure that they're all within earshot to be like, that's why you're so helpful, Luce. Like the time you helped me find the collector.
And literally, Amity's like, "What? Hold on. Tell me."
What does he mean by that?
At first she assumes it's just Bellows doing a bit, but then later on, near the end of the episode, Luz is like, she has to admit the truth. No, it's true. I was the one who set this entire thing into motion, and she has to get that off her chest. And so, but before we get into all of that, like an eerily well animated fight scene.
It is
so
the best animated
good.
sequence in the entire show. Like,
Absolutely.
Those Korean animators got their 10-cent raise that day.
No, they got a lunch break where they got to eat toast.
They got to eat 1/4 of a slice of uncooked bread.
So
so
he's like the frames on this lad.
dude, all right. So I the moment I saw it, I got flashbacks to. Well, I haven't seen the show. I have seen clips of You ever seen clips of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, but I have a friend who really likes it.
Yeah, that show and a bunch of other animated shows are animated by the studio called Titmouse, and they're like, as far as like Western animation studios go, they're pretty much the trigger, like the trigger equivalent of having like crazy good and well animated shows, or at least shows that have plenty of sequences that are crazily well animated, like this one. And the moment I saw it, like at first I was like, "Is that fucking Titmouse?" And then, sure enough, it was confirmed that a Titmouse animator, I believe his name is Tom Barkle, was the guy who headed that scene.
Okay, so that is rather interesting, and like it's almost sudden, where it's like all of a sudden,
Dude,
I think
they don't even cut. It's like Bellows Hunter is giving this monologue, being like, Lou's like, "Oh, I'm trying to do something good," and then hits him with the "You did do something good," just to like further cement how much of an evil bastard he is. And then like it's like the normal standard like frame rate and animation that the show is usually going through, but then the scene doesn't even cut. Literally in the same shot, the animation quality immediately picks up, and like his movements start getting a lot more fluid, and then he reaches out his goop hand to attack the Hexside gang, but then they fight him back, and then they have the big fight scene, and everything is so detailed and animated, so fluid. Like for 30 seconds, it's like the best the Owl House has ever looked. And if it looks this good here, I can't wait to see how they're gonna animate, the big
Oh,
climaxes in the
God.
next two episodes.
Yeah,
Imagine
you
if we
pointing
get
that
if
out,
we
that
got
is-
something like this,
that
but
is-
for like at least a minute.
that would be. Now I'm hyped. You've gotten me hyped about that, and it is another really really great Owl House action sequence. It's exactly the type of action scene I like in fiction, and Owl House consistently gives me that kind of fight scene where it's super high intensity, super frenetic, and super to the point quick. We get a bunch of different characters fighting. Bellows Hunter. Really great stuff. And,
The one criticism I would levy against that scene is that I wasn't too big on the choreography. It's all incredibly well animated, but I would say that honestly, both of Ida and Lilith's fights, and also Amity and Hunter's fight from the past two seasons, while their animation might not be as good, I would say the choreography in all three are better. Granted, I think all those scenes might be longer than than this fight scene, because like really all that happens in this one is that Bellows Hunter's like throwing his limbs around. The characters are flying around. The most dynamic thing that happens outside of that is V coming into fucking Kirby suck the magic out of Bellows.
I will definitely give you that one, where it's like, to me, the Ida and Lilith fights are a lot more memorable in terms of choreography, but it's still an Owl House action scene, and it still has all the stuff I like, and it still has the incredibly frenetic camera that's just going back and forth super quickly. But like,
Yeah,
it's
the
all in
camera movement was
continuous
what
shot.
tuned me into the Titmouse intuition, because like that's a Titmouse staple.
Yeah.
If you saw clips of Rise of the TMNT, you would notice that exact same like frenetic camera work.
Did they do any of the other action scenes in the Owl House, or do you know?
Not to the same extent. I didn't look at any of the other three well animated fight scenes that happened within the Owl House. I never once thought that it was Titmouse. I just thought like the crew like just gave it special attention, but like I could tell almost immediately, like, hold on, they got someone for this one.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because I remember the fight between Eda and Lilith at the end of season 1 has this long sequence of just the camera going back and forth between them. So it's got that same sort of camera movements, just not as frenetic as in this action sequence.
Who knows? I might be totally wrong, and maybe a Titmouse animator worked on that fight scene too. I'm sure the comments are furiously typing away now.
Assuming we get comments, please comment.
Please, my children are dying. My dog is starving. So the big fight scene happens, and then probably is it fair to say that what happens next is the most graphic scene in the entirety of the Owl House?
I'd say it's a toss up between that and the Bellows failing to put everyone into a coven during the flashback, where it's like it puts them into a state of near death but still alive.
I would say that's the darkest. But like, and in terms of like violence and graphic content, I would say that Bellows, literally, even though we only see it through a shadow, Bellows literally impaling Flapjack in several different areas and making him bleed out. Ooh, that was like it got the stomach turning just a bit.
The fact that I honestly really like that it cuts to a silhouette instead of just showing it in full glory.
I don't think they'd be able to show it.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't.
On Disney, no fucking way.
Well, yeah, but it's not just that they can't show it. It's that, like, even if they could show it, I think it's better that it cuts away to a silhouette, because it's like, it implies something probably much worse than anything they could show. And it's like, leaving that to implication honestly just punctuates the scene and makes it even more recoil worthy, where it's like, ooh, he actually did that. And
Oh yeah, but before I forget, because I mentioned that this was a recurring theme about characters being possessed in Disney cartoons. It happens in Gravity Falls when Bill possesses Dipper's body for an episode. It happens in Amphibia, spoilers, but not really, because it's kind of the final boss of the show, where one of the characters gets possessed by a hive mind. And now it happens here. We've completed
so
the
it's 3 for
Triforce.
3.
Yeah, we've completed the Triforce.
I guess I'll be able to look out for that whenever I probably inevitably watch Amphibia.
It's not as good as the Owl House, but it is good.
All right, I will keep that in mind. And this adds on to what we've been hyping up this entire time with Hunter's Sad Boy arc, where he has to watch his best friend, buddy old pal, Palisman
Die.
Get deaded.
I also noticed that Bellows, when he was like, no, right before he impaled Flapjack, he was like, goodbye, Evelyn. And so that I thought one of two things. Either Flapjack was Evelyn's Palisman, or for some reason, I couldn't tell you why, maybe it would be explained in the next episode, somehow Evelyn became a Palisman? Or was like cursed to be one?
I imagine it's just Evelyn's Palisman.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought it was like Philip severing a tie between Caleb and Evelyn.
Yeah. Although I guess your theory isn't impossible.
Yeah, well,
it would be
we'll
very
see.
hard to explain, but it could happen.
So then after this, Hunter is trying to fight off Bellows, and he's stating all his desires of how he wants to go to school, hang out with his friends, learn wild magic, carve Palisman, do all these fun, edgy boy stuff. And the whole time I was like, oh no, Dana, stop! You can't have him list all of his desires like this. When you're gonna kill him off in the next 10 seconds, you can't. Hunter, stop raising all the death flags, please. And he throws the Titan blood into the lake. Bellows makes him jump in after it, and he seemingly drowns as Camila, even after diving in to save him. Hunter is not responding, and Bellows leaves his body, reforms his like berserker sludge form that I guess is just his new permanent form now that that curse has fully taken over his body, and he uses the Titan blood to make a portal back to the demon realm.
And then Hunter, he is seemingly, not responsive. Amity's getting super worried about him, but
Luz
because
accidentally
he
lets
is
it slip that
also-
he's a Grimwalker.
yeah, that also happens. But because he's a Grimwalker, and because the Palisman, Evelyn's Palisman, is basically at this point in the process of dying and bleeding out, well, if we recall from before, Belos eats Palisman for breakfast. So
And
what?
and Grimwalkers are partly made of palistrum wood.
Yes. So Flapjack decides to give Hunter some of their, I guess, blood essence.
It's the
something
last
like
of my hormone JoJo. Take it.
And that brings Hunter back from the brink of death with a bunch of new scars, which I like. Always great when characters get scars.
And he already knows that Flapjack is gone. And he's like, I love how Gus is about to tell him, Hunter's like, is everyone okay? And Gus is like, well, everyone, but Flapjack's like, don't. I know. And he starts crying a bit. And it's like, ooh. I'm glad to see that the show is willing to kill off some characters. Granted, I was never emotionally invested in Flapjack. But
What I will say is that this...
I'm
well,
glad
first
that
of all,
they're at least willing to allow
Yeah.
some like living members of our group to die.
It enhances the feeling of dread that the viewer gets from knowing what could possibly happen once they go back to the demon realm. Of being like, oh, they've
'Cause
already
we-
killed Flapjack. What else? Who else isn't going to survive this incursion?
Yeah, we don't know what's on the other side. We don't know what the Collector exactly has done to the Demon Realm for his Owl House game. Well, I guess we'll find that out in like a few months. And as Belos leaves, he leaves with like, I'm doing this to save your souls. You'll thank me later. And now I guess that's, well, we'll once again, we'll see it when we see it. But it looks like now that Belos is like back into the schmicks, we'll see who ends up being the true final boss of the show, if it's Belos or the Collector.
Belos definitely got wrapped up back into the narrative faster than I expected him to. And I definitely like that, because he's the villain of the two that I'm most invested in. And it does also make it more likely that Belos will have, well, pretty much inevitable at this point that Belos will have a very big impact on the finale. Whereas before it was sort of up in the air whether he'd be as important as the Collector. I think at this point it's pretty much set in stone that they'll be of mostly, I mean, at least, if not equal in strength, at the very least equal in narrative relevance, I imagine.
Yeah, I was worried that Belos was gonna like come back at like the very last second of the final episode, and like somehow he was either gonna come in and like replace the Collector, or he was gonna come in after they defeated the Collector. It's like, oh wait, I'm Belos and I'm still here, haha. But I'm glad that now we're going into these last two episodes knowing that they're both still threats.
Yeah, I was afraid that Chekhov's gun was going to be fired super late on that one, and it would be like this last minute reveal. Plot twist. So, yeah.
And so
definitely
in
the best way it could have gone, I imagine.
So, in the aftermath of everything, Luz is like getting like, she fears she's gonna get dogpiled on for what she did, but no one blames her, because they're all like, dude, it's straight up not your fault. Like, Belos, if it weren't you, Belos would have just gone manipulated someone else, because that's what Belos does. He's a liar, he's a cheat, he's a snake, and ultimately it's kind of a good thing that it was you, because now, like, who else would have had the courage to fight back against him, even knowing that they helped him?
Yeah, and they also realize that Hunter is a Grimwalker now, which they also don't.
I don't think they make like too much light of it. The only
Yeah.
bit of it that we know is that Luz says that he is a Grimwalker, and Willow's like, "What's a Grimwalker?" But I feel like that's gonna get touched upon in the next episode. We're gonna get like a designated scene
Yeah.
of, I guess Hunter's coming out scene essentially of him being a Grimwalker, and then. Oh, I'm gonna rub my crystal ball real quick, and there's gonna be a very nice Willow and Gus hug and some Hunter tears. Because they're just gonna understand him and accept him, just like they did with Luz.
Can we talk about how absolutely awesome it is that Camila is going into the demon realm with them to fight the Collector?
Very big, dude. That means we're gonna see Eda and Camila interact for the first time, and have the ultimate Luz mom off.
That was a holy based moment because, like, she looks so epic as she's about to step into the portal, and it's like, Oh, and by the way, all right, so when everyone's going into the portal, you know, they go into it one by one, giving their farewells and being like, "Oh yeah, we're about to go in. This is it, guys." And right before they go into the portal, Luz and Amity, at first they're holding hands, and then Amity gives her a kiss on the cheek, then walks in alone. And throughout the portal scene, right, they were getting to the point where Amity was going to go, and I was like hyping it up in my head, like, oh, Luz and Amity are going to go in holding hands. Come on, it's gonna be the best thing. And I imagine that in the writing room, there was this giant war going on. Factions decided, papers thrown across desks or whatever. All
Bodies
sorts of
strewn across the
yeah.
floor. Like,
yes,
who
also that.
Luz will go hand in hand with through the portal, be it Amity or Camila.
It was this
big
battle.
I'm glad with the decision that they made, because
I
they got their
it.
Lumity moment with Amity turning Luz's I have no idea what my future holds, but it would be so awesome if you were in it line when she confessed to her back on her for this, to reaffirm that Luz is a person worth being around and worth having in her life.
Yeah, I feel like we got the best of both worlds, where we got the Lumity moments, and then we got basically Camila being epic tier and going into the portal with her daughter, and knowing that now Camila is going to be part of the, I guess, main cast at this point in the series. And the only one who stays behind is V.
My girl V gets fucking cucked, dude. Like, literally, for what reason? Like, I know they give the reason that, oh yeah, someone's got to keep up your appearances while you're gone, but like, bruh, you're just gonna write V out of the finale now?
It is a little disappointing, but at the same time, I imagine it is at least partially a decision of like, okay, we only have so many episodes to do this, and because of the
fucking
rat. And I imagine I mean, obviously we don't know exactly what they have in store, but I imagine there's probably the explanation of like, they have the rough drafts of the script ready, and they're like, V just can't fit in this. There's too much going on. Adding another character would be a little more than what we can realistically achieve with what the rat has given us.
Like, I kind of understand that, but at the same time, it feels so... I kind of feel robbed that she's been made a member of the main cast throughout this entire episode, and now she's just like, all right, V, you've had your screen time. Away with you now. Go on.
Admittedly,
leave.
it is a little bit of a bro moment after we got her amazing human design that I just got so instantly attached to. But I'm not, it's a little disappointing, but it's like, I can understand the rationale behind it and why the decision may have been made, and it's not a huge deal for me at the end of the day.
The last note that I have for the episode is that I find it very fitting, it's poetic, that Luz is now entering the demon realm as Lazura. And now all decked out in the Good Witch Azura gear, and now she's fully embracing herself as Lazura the Witch.
That is very fitting, and I also just love in general that everyone's going into the portal decked out in costumes, because
I think they're gonna take the costumes off once.
They're gonna have to.
Luz might keep the witch outfit, but like they're
I mean,
I
yeah,
feel
they're
like
gonna
they're
have
gonna
to take them
change.
off, but
I think
I don't
they
know.
might
Just the
even get
fact they're
like
entering in
new
costume is
outfits.
kind of cool.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I will not be able to take the finale seriously if Willow rolls up to the collector in that fucking bat
well, not
onesie.
at the very end, obviously.
Yeah, well, like the thing with like the hood that like covers up her head, almost like a swim cap. Like I wouldn't be able to take that shit seriously. I'd be like, girl, you like that fit not even mid. That fit trash.
Your drip is cringe, Willow.
You get no bitches, Willow. Nah, she'll get herself a bitch by the end.
I mean, yeah, with Hunter, clearly. They're setting it up now. I'm on the ship at this point.
And that's how Thanks to Them concludes. We get a cute little credit sequence of a bunch of hand-drawn illustrations, stuff like Lou's teaching Camila how to draw glyphs, and my favorite one would have to be Gus has Hunter in a playful like little chokehold, and then Willow just like jumps in flying with like an elbow drop.
Yeah, oh, by the way, can I just talk about how wholly based it is that Disney has the entire, or sorry, not Disney, the Rat, I'm still calling it the Rat, but the Rat has won at least a brownie point by putting the full episode
having the
on
whole
YouTube.
episode on YouTube. They have a few of their episodes of like different shows on YouTube. I'm just surprised at how fast they did it for this one, because it came out like 4 hours after it came out on TV. They just put it up on YouTube, so that made getting you a way to watch the show very easy. So
Yeah, because
hats off to
the
Disney
legal,
for this one moment.
Yeah,
you get
the one
everybody
W
gets
they've
one, I
taken.
guess.
The legal site I used to watch the episodes thus far did not have the episode when I woke up in the morning, so it was a big relief to know that the Rat did one good thing in their entire life and put the episode on YouTube.
And I think that will bring this episode to a close, right? Because that's pretty much it.
I guess my final thoughts are, Thanks to Them was very good, thanks to them.
So now, the very last thing to talk about is, now that we've seen 1/3 of the finale, how do we feel about, like, do we still harbor any fears or any concerns that maybe everything might be going a little too fast, or they won't be able to resolve everything satisfyingly in just 2 big episodes?
Well, it's definitely faster than I'd like. Well, obviously faster than the creators too would like, considering that they definitely wanted a season 3. But considering the amount of time they have, I think they've thus far been allocating it very well. And it does give me a lot more hope for the finale now that one episode has aired and it's used its time very productively. It's even though it's very quickly paced, it doesn't feel like anything was shortchanged in any significant way, where it still feels like a holistic episode.
Aside from V getting cucked.
Well, yeah, aside from that, there's all the character moments, they've got the plot moving forward at a rapid pace, they managed to build up things very well in ways that are very, that use a lot of time while still feeling very efficient and feeling like I'm just surprised at how, I guess not surprised, but more so relieved in a sense to know that, even with the short amount of time they have, they're able to keep firing on all cylinders very consistently.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I'm not withholding still a small amount of concern on how they're going to be able to wrap up everything in just 2 episodes now. I will say it's gone, the concern has gone down a lot since before Thanks to Them came out, because now that I've seen the pace that they're working on and the quality of the episodes that they'll give us, not that just because Thanks to Them was incredible, the next 2 episodes will be just as incredible. But I have slightly less concern now than I did before. just by nature of, man, how are they possibly going to put this all in a cute little bow and also like let it be satisfying in the limited time they have left. But I've put my faith in Dana and the crew thus far. I will continue to do so. And if it's anything like thanks to them or even better, then we're in good hands.
I mean, if they top thanks to them, then they will have made like one of, if not the greatest episode of the show, because thanks to them, even though it isn't among my absolute favorites, like it is definitely within the upper echelon of the Owl House episodes. Like I'd say at least top 10 so far.
It's definitely better than the season 2 finale, and that episode was great.
It's actually a toss-up in my mind, but like it could go either way. But thanks to them is still incredibly, like I'd say top tier Owl House episode.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll conclude just as great and end up as the masterpiece that we all know it should deserve. And I guess
I definitely have a lot more faith now, and that makes me happy.
And I guess that brings us to an end of this episode of Castaway Anime and the end of our Owl House marathon for now. Owl Weekend has come to a close, and we will resume covering the show as it comes out with the next episode, God knows when, but it can't come soon enough. So if you enjoyed the episode, hit the like button, head on down to the comments, let us know what you thought of the Owl House, your hopes for the remainder of season 3, and if you enjoyed yourself, please subscribe. Man, like, this whole thing was like, we took a hit with this one, and we're hoping that this one will do better than the last few Owl House podcasts.
Onto our L.
Please, like, go back and watch the other ones if you want to relive the Owl House while you pass time for season 3 to come out. Just please. And, also check out our other stuff in the links in the description, and also other content on the channel. You're cool. You can figure it out. And that'll do it. Yeah. That'll do it for this episode of Castaway Anime. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.